The special thanks to our director and also the IT team led by Gurvinder Singh. Thank you, our national office. I'm also welcome all the participants across the country. I've seen some of the person for East, West, North, and South, and your wholehearted participation. It will be one of the best program today. I also welcome our National Council member and very close to my heart. I always discuss with him when anything critical situation, Professor Santosh Rangnekar. Sir, we welcome you. You are many years in ISTD National Council, and your contribution to the ISTD is enormous. Rangnekar sir, your knowledge, your activities and active participation in ISTD is in more and more contribution to the ISTD. ISTD will be in the next level and desired level. Thank you, sir, for you and your team and IIT Roorkee, because we are doing with them also, Joshiji and our all the participants and ISTDN for this program. Last couple of days we are doing many programs through Zooms, and today first time we have started the webinar, and also 10th April we are doing the webinar, and the program which is the national program along with the Delhi chapter, the Golden Jubilee celebration at 10th April afternoon. So I welcome all of them. Please participate that program also, and please follow the webinar, because every week we are doing the 2 webinars, and who are interested to as a facilitator or as a speaker as a webinar, please keep in touch to our director through mail or personal touch, the Dr. Joshi, and we do topics so that you will be in the queue for the next webinar. Thank you very much for all the participants, and I hope that Professor has given a good intake for ourselves. Thank you, national team led by Joshiji, IT team led by Gurvinderji and Rangnekar for doing this wonderful program. I, on behalf of my national council and other members, welcome all of you for this webinar program, and we will look forward every program this type of oversubscribed. We have closed this because we have almost 500 plus, so that we close it. Sorry for that, but we'll intake more and more in future. Thank you very much for ISTD NHQ and Professor Rangnekar and all the participants. Thank you very much. I would request Joshiji to give something regarding the ISTD, what we are doing something last couple of weeks, but the coronavirus and other as a 1 or 2 or 3 lines, you can tell the ISTD's mottos and others. Thank you, Joshiji.
Thank you, Dr. Ray, for the introductory remarks. I just spoke to you about how ISTD has been utilizing, how the ISTD National Office has been utilizing its time through Zoom meetings. In fact, every day at 10 a.m., our staff meeting is there, in which we discuss all the issues, whatever the issues the National Office is facing, whether it is membership, whether it is diploma program. And in fact, we are starting diploma classes centrally from Delhi for those, especially those students who are far and wide areas are unable to reach any classes. So during this lockdown period, we have started diploma classes. That has been one of our achievements, and all our membership, other activities are going on. We are also happy to announce that the Golden Jubilee celebrations, the 50% discount offered by ISTD has been extended by another month. That is from 31st of March to 30th of April. We've increased the date. So I will request all the ISTDians who have joined today to enroll more and more members during this period. Now we will be coming to start this webinar. Let me introduce Professor Santosh Rangnekar. Professor Santosh Rangnekar is the head of the Department of Management Studies and IIT Roorkee. He has been associated with ISTD for I think more than 15-20 years, and it is really a very good opportunity for us. In fact, when the idea of hosting webinars was mooted, and I invited people to join this thing. He was first to accept. Joshi ji, abhi shuru kar dijiye. And his words were so encouraging. In fact, whenever you start a program, there are initial hitches, and we also have lot of initial hitches, but we have overcome, and we are able to start this webinar in time. I am really thankful to Gurvinder, our IT team from the NHU, who is working day and night to make these things successful. And we are also very happy to join each one of you, because the very idea of ISTD to join and reach its members was really a dream. And through these webinars, this is a very big leap for ISTD to connect with its members. And I hope in the times to come, we will have more and more interactions with all of you. We will be taking your feedbacks, your responses, and acting on them to improve upon our programs. Initially, we have planned for 2 webinars per week. Another webinar we will be hosting on Saturday. We will be sharing the details with you shortly. And let me tell you, whatever questions, this is though 1.5 hour program, and the questions, whatever questions you want to ask, in the chat box you can enter. Professor Rangnekar will simultaneously be reading or going through your questions, and wherever he feels that he has to share or answer intermittently, he will be asking, or at the end of this webinar, he may be giving, it is his choice to answer the question in between or at the end of this webinar. So I'm really hopeful that this webinar is going to be a huge success for ISTD. I once again welcome all of you to this webinar, and now I invite Professor Rangnekar to start the webinar. Professor Rangnekar, please, sir.
Very good evening to all of you. It is my pleasure to conduct this particular webinar on the ISTD platform. I convey my sincere thanks to Dr. Nataraj Ray for giving me this opportunity to conduct this webinar, and of course the whole team of Dr. Joshi and Govinda Singh ji, that is, they have managed in this difficult time also to organize this particular seminar. So without taking much time, I think that now I will come to the content. As all of you know, that is the topic of today's webinar is managerial skills for interpersonal dynamics. Now, when we talk about the managerial success, so the success formula is A into M into O. M is for the motivation and O is for the opportunity. As far as the A is concerned, the ability, the technical skills, that becomes very, very important. Technical skills means here not only the engineering skills, technical skills means here the job knowledge, whether the person is having his job knowledge first and foremost completely or not. That becoming make him the able to do his job. Second is, that is why this topic of interpersonal dynamics have been chosen, because this second need is becoming very, very important. That is, it is also called the HR skills, human relation skills, or interpersonal needs. Whenever we are talking about the interpersonal needs, it becomes very important in the creation of organization culture. There is the employees who are the backbone of the success of any organization. They have to be satisfied and happy. If this particular need is not fulfilled, then in that case, the success of the organization in the long term becomes difficult. So HR skills are very, very important to execute at the workplace. Here, question will arise, who will execute these needs? It is by the superior, it is by the subordinates, and it is by the employees themselves. So therefore, in that case, unless and until that particular group is not converted into the team, then there is no possibility of managerial success. But the challenge with this particular skill is, there is the technology you can make or you can buy. But the HR skills, they are depending on so many factors. On what factors those particular needs are depending, on what are there are the different dimensions in this variable of the interpersonal dynamics that we will be discussing further in this particular webinar. Third skill, that is the conceptual skills. Conceptual skills means whatever I will be sharing with you, that will create an understanding. That will be the base for your knowledge. Or maybe you can say it is just an information. But unless and until you will not execute that, then it will be very, very difficult to make it the real practices in the organization culture. Professor Uday Parikh sir has written the book on this particular, on the organizational behavior, and therefore he has emphasized that is whenever we are talking about the concepts, that knowledge, that base has to be very, very strong. Unless and until the person is not knowledgeable, employee is not knowledgeable, he will not be able to execute. Third is, in the era of IT, in the era of internet, you will find there are a lot of informations. So even if you go for the interpersonal dynamics, you will find there are so many websites are available. But the question arises how to analyze. And I think there is the role of a trainer to facilitate the learner, that is the how he can make the analysis, and therefore those analytical skills are becoming very, very important. Now, first and foremost is the concept which comes into the interpersonal relationship, and that is the FIRO-B. Many of you might be knowing, because I know that is the most of you are the trainers here, and therefore you already must be using this particular scale. And this scale is making identifying that is the how the what are the other people are expecting from them, and then how they should act. These become very, very important, the expectations. In the following slides, we will be discussing about that is unless and until the expectations are not fulfilled, it becomes very difficult to make the proper interpersonal relationship at the workplace. Now, what are the expectations of the employees? The expectation of the employees are the survival and growth. And therefore, we will find that is these orientations, how they are playing the role for an employee to make the survival. And in survival, it becomes very, very important, that is the concepts of the given by the FIRO-B model that we understand. There are three types of dimensions, that is the inclusion, control, and affection. Whenever we want to talk about the inclusion, that is the, and there are the two other dimensions, that is wanted and expressed. When we talk about, that is the inclusion wanted. So in this box, we will find that is, I want other people to include me. Simple example is, when you join any social gathering, whether it is the marriages or you are into the professional meetings, then you want that somebody should ask me to speak. When we say like this, it means the personality orientation of that particular person is to include me in that particular activities. If the person is not only the want to be the inclusion, but he also express. So therefore, again, I would like to take the example of a marriage, and there the people themselves, they come forward to help you. They ask you to give us the different responsibilities. Those relatives will help us in performing that particular ceremony very efficiently and effectively, and everybody enjoys, and they become the heroes. So therefore, then it becomes the expression of that inclusion is there. While there are other personalities, because we know the personality depends on three factors: heredity, environment, and situations. Lot of research has been done, and they find that if there are the twins, and those twins, they are indifferent in their behavior and choices especially. So why it is so? And then in addition to the heredity, that environment and situation, that is playing the major role. In a given situation also, the personality behaves differently. Now here, I would like to take the example of happiness. Now the happiness, whether it is the hereditary or environmental. So this is the webinar, so I'm not going that much of interactive at present. So there, but I am sure that many of you might be having this concept, that is the heredity is the combination of, the happiness is a combination of heredity, environment, and situation. It is 50% is the heredity, 40% is the environment, and 10% is the situation is there. So when some people, they feel happiness in control, but it is interesting to note that is the some employees, they feel most comfortable working in well-defined situations. So they will be becoming more successful into those organizations where the structured instructions are delivered. And they try to get the clear expectations and the instructions. So when they get the clear instructions, they are able to perform and their managerial effectiveness becomes higher. Why? Some of us must have come across some bully supervisors, bosses. And they are a control express type of the personalities. Express type control is there, that is, they exert the control. They want to control others. And therefore, in that case, it will be the very, very important, that is, we have to understand in interpersonal relationship orientation, whether it is the personality is interested to get control, or the personality is interested to exert the control over others and influence the others. So there will be certain bosses, even they will be get controlled by the advices, suggestions, and directions of their colleagues and subordinates. But there will be some personalities, those who will not having this type of orientation, and they will always ask, whatever you do, please ask me first. And therefore, in that case, it is always, that is the exert control. And they like the close supervision. Third one is, that is the affection. Affection is affection wanted. I want others to act warmly towards me. And there I enjoy it when people share their feelings with me and when they encourage my efforts. And therefore, in that case, it is the affection wanted. Some employees are affection expressed, and effort to make express to the people, that is their expressions, their feelings, and try to be the supportive of others are there. What we learn from this particular slide? So we learn that is there are different personality, interpersonal relationship oriented, which are having the either inclusion wanted, inclusion expressed. So how it makes a difference in interpersonal relationship? In interpersonal relationship, if you understand the orientation of yourself and also the orientation of others, then definitely you will be able to adopt the strategies, your line of actions, your activities to match the expectation of the other employee. If you understand that is other employees' perception is the control express, like in a lighter way, a mother-in-law, she will always try to control the daughter-in-law. Similarly, most of the times, when you become the boss, then you will like to control the others. But as I mentioned, it is not necessary that with position of the boss, orientation will be also to express the control. And you understand, that is my boss, he always looks for suggestions from me, he always looks for the advices, the directions from me, and therefore to do a particular job, his style is more participative style, he is more interested to know from me, and once you know, then in that case, your orientation to develop that interpersonal relationship with your boss should be accordingly. Now, what is the challenge? When the boss and subordinate, if both are having the express control, and then in that case, really it becomes a tough situation. And then what to do? And then in further slides, we will talk about Kahn's model, which will advise us. That is how to develop the interpersonal relationship. But in general, if there is another concept, and that is the managerial flexibility. The manager should be able to develop the people flexibility according to the people, according to the manpower in the organization. Manager should be able to demonstrate his HR skills. In some places, it becomes the HRD, human resource development, training and development, like the trainers like you. And in some places, it becomes IR. In my 6 years of the experience as a labor officer, I learned that is in industrial relations also, it becomes very, very important. You understand the orientation of the trade union leaders. Once you understand the orientation of the trade union leaders, it becomes much more easier. But are you flexible enough to develop that personality orientation to change yourself? For example, if it is IW, inclusion wanted, are you able to have the change your personality of inclusion expressed? Or you do not bother? Some bosses, they wait for, in the meetings, they wait for the other participants to speak. And therefore, in that case, that becomes, that is the, you have to take the initiatives and not the boss will ask you. But if the boss is asking, that is the you participate, asking by taking your name, then definitely it means that is he is having the inclusion expressed orientation is there. And in that case, you have to see that is you express the inclusion wanted. When these type of the combinations are there, most of the places, most of the times, most of the situations, then definitely there will be the good work environment and rather great work environment. So if we want to create the great work environment, we have to go to understand the different types of the interpersonal relationship orientation. So already I have mentioned about the inclusion, how much you generally include. This implies how much influence and responsibility you want and how much you others to lead and influence yourself, affection, which you can refer also, that is there. Now here we will like to see that is the how the express and wanted in these dimensions, they are to be practiced practically. The first foremost is the distinction is there. So in the inclusion, you will find that is you have to identify because they are distinct is there. Then recognize them, allow them to participate, get involved. So more and more you will be having the involvement of the others, more will be the success into the managerial effectiveness. And not only that, as our last part in the inclusion is, that is the acknowledgement. if somebody has contributed, many organizations, they are having this type of these schemes where they write a letter of the acknowledgement, because we understand it is not always the monetary incentives, but non-monetary incentives are also playing the role. So many times we say, even my boss would have said me thank you, that would have been enough for me. And therefore, as a boss, we have to also understand, we have to acknowledge the efforts made by the others. And when we this type of the practices of the recognition, participation, involvement, and acknowledgement we will do, we will include more and more persons is there. Now, where the control orientation is expressed at the workplace. The control orientation is expressed at the workplace when there is a power. Whenever any employee is having the power, then he has the choice to have the inclusion or from that particular expression, or that is the want of the power is there. And normally the control is expressed as a power. And the power has to be exercised for the benefit of the organization judiciously. Then there will be the directions given, then there will be the decisions taken by the leader, there will be the sense of responsibility, whatever decisions have been taken, and therefore whether it is the successful or it is not, and then there will be the responsibility will be there, and of the leader will be there. And the behavior has to be consistent. When we talk about the consistency of the behavior, it means that if we show the expression of control, the people surrounding to you, they will always expect from you that you will express the control. So they will be looking for the directions from you, because they have understood that the direction has to be given and then. But if there is no consistency in behavior, that is the whether it is the inclusion of control or the expression of control, and therefore in that case in the organization it becomes very, very difficult, that is how to conduct that particular behavior, and whether the orientation and interpersonal relationship that becomes challenging. But if there is a consistency, so we understand, and then accordingly we supplement, whether it is the express control or it is the want control. Third is, that is the HR, that is the affection is there. And in the affection, how at the workplace we show the affection. The supportive behavior is a beautiful behavior and expression of the affection. However, according to FIRO-B, there can be the want of affection also, and expression of affection also it is there. So normally we will understand, if subordinate is there, what he will do? He will want the affection. And who will be the senior? Who will be the superior? Who is in the higher position? And therefore it is the express of affection. When you show the concern for your employees, it is the reflection of your affection orientation is there. As I mentioned, that is a consensus orientation is always to be there. Then the persons are sensitive. Sensitive about not only the professional relationship, but they are also sensitive about your problems which are at home. So days have gone. The 35 years back when I have joined the HR, then that time it was more towards the IR, industrial relations. But the time has changed, and now we are talking about whether even if the employee is having the personal problems, like for example, for the women workers, there are the creches, though in the factories are already there, but still the better facilities are provided. There are the transportation system, there are the working from home. All these issues nowadays are becoming very, very, very important, and that shows that is the organization is sensitive towards the employees. The organization will not say, if your children's education admissions are in the school, and you joined an organization and admission is difficult for you, or to know about the best schools. Organization will not say nowadays, it is your problem, this is not my baby. But now organization will take initiatives, HR will take initiatives, but it should not be the responsibility of HR department only. Every boss, whether he is working in finance, marketing, operations, IT, he is the HR person because he is working with people. So he has to express the sensitivity. More he shows the sensitivity, then it becomes the more dynamism into the relationship is there. We always praise Dr. Abdul Kalam, and then we say that he is the, as a boss, we read his books, his experiences, his lectures, and we understand how highly he was sensitive towards the team which was working with him. So these type of the role models, those who have become the more and more successful in their expression of the affection, and we find they are the successful leaders. Another important thing is faithfulness. Now, faithfulness is a strength of the employees. Now, you see, if I ask you, that is the, normally in my training program, I ask participants, that is the, what is the strength and weakness of the horse? And then we find that is the strength of the horse is, that is the power. And what is the weakness of the horse? If the weakness of the horse, if we understand that is the, he is having the potential, but if we want to take the performance from that particular horse, then we have to put the flips before the eyes. When we put the flips before the eyes, then we give the direction. And when then he works into the straight direction, and we use the potential of the horse, the power of the horse. When we talk about the faithfulness and loyalty, when we talk about, it is the strength of the dog. And therefore, the always dog will show the faithfulness towards the master. But what is the weakness? The weakness of the dog is that this loyalty is subject to bread and butter. If you will not give the first day the bread and butter to the dog, the food to the dog, then he will just bark. But if you will second day also, if you will not give, third day also, if you will not give the food to the dog, and then what he will do? Then in that case, it will bite to the master itself. So therefore, it becomes, there is a faithfulness, affection, whether it is wants or the express. If we do not express that faithfulness, or we do not have the service system where the loyalty of the employees is recognized, then in that case, they will not fulfill that they have been recognized, and as a result of which, they may leave the organization. They will not bite to the master, but they will leave the organization. And therefore, faithfulness is like a subject to the terms and conditions that we have to understand. And accordingly, our orientation has to be there. When we talk about the closeness with the people, closeness means that is the, we are having the close relationship with our employees at the workplace, and we try to understand the professional closeness and professional understanding, then definitely we understand that is the, there is a need for the affection. That's all that is about the concern, inclusion, moderating control, we can say, that will be expressed. Now already it indicates how what you actually do and can be easily observed by others. Therefore, some managers, some employees, they are very strong in expressions. Some employees, they really want from others whether or not you show it openly. So assuming position of authority, taking a competitive stance, ideas within the group, influencing others' opinion, and establishing. And there is the express, reassuring, wanted, being flexible and accommodating, listening carefully to others in wanted, sharing, feeling of anxiety, sadness, loneliness. Okay. Now here I would like to take, that is the, whenever the employees, when they start feeling the isolated. My one PhD scholar study shows that is, the people do not leave the organization and they leave their bosses. most of the times. So therefore, in that case, it means that they were not able to develop the relationship with their boss, and slowly that is the non-participation that will start in the workplace. Person will be aloof, he will be sad, he will not be having that participation. And if this type of the signals are there, please understand there is a want of affection, and try to please others, giving others more than what they are need. Nowadays, as I said, talent management, people management, that becomes the backbone of the success of an organization. You have to retain the talent, right, as long as possible, because I teach MBA students here, and therefore I know that is the nowadays these generations work life maybe 2 years or 3 years in one organization. But the question is, it is not that how many years, but how you have spent those particular years in that organization. So in talent management, when they are joining us, we have to take care that is we express the wants of their affection, express the affections, and fulfill the want of affections, and what is that more than they need. And therefore, it is not that internal customer. Nowadays, employees are called the internal customers. So internal customers are not satisfied only, they are delighted also. So how we start the relationships? Basically, the first and foremost is the appearance. Is especially important in the early stages. That is the how the first stage in the relationship. That is whether we want to develop the relationship or not. And the first and foremost comes, that is the appearance. If we like the appearance, partners create positive illusions, viewing another as more attractive over the time. So therefore, in that case, first stage of the interpersonal relationship, and that is starting with the appearances there. Sometimes it starts with the similarity. We like people who are similar to us. I would like to give the example here. That is in the meetings when there are the suggestions or discussions are going on, those people who support our views, our thoughts, the similar thoughts they have, similar line of thinking they are having, and therefore we starting the relationship with them is there. Friendships are more likely to last when friends are having the similar thinking to one another. And therefore, in that case, it becomes very, very important. That is the how this particular aspect of the similarity plays an influential dimension for the developing the relationship is there. Sometimes the relationships is based is the competence also. We like to be around talented people. Now here you see that is this is very, very important aspect. That is the talent will like to be with the talents, and therefore if he does not find that is the people surrounding to him of the similar talent, then in that case there will be the dissatisfaction, and that shows that is in the relationships the talent is looking for the competition. That it is just like searching a partner for a particular game, and therefore he is a competitor, but to play the game the partner is required. If a person is too talented, it can be difficult. Now it is also, I already mentioned in the beginning itself, that is, it is not only that is a technical skills, job skills, but it becomes very, very important. That is the HR skills, they are also important. If the person is too much talented, then definitely he is highly technical skills, highly knowledgeable, but in that case, if he wants develop that particular relationship and the company that is a partner, then in that case, if there are not the similar type of the talent, then the people will not retain into the organization and they will not continue a relationship. The next dimension in the relationship is that is a disclosure. Revealing information about yourself can help to build the liking is there. The trainers, they use the first session, that is a macro level. What is a micro lab in the business game when we start with the micro lab? In the micro lab, we ask them, for example, we use that is a run, 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 run. We ask the group to leave their desk and chairs, come into the ground, the trainees, and then we ask them to mingle with each other. There will be the bell, and when we say that is run, 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 and when we say stop run, immediately the one participant will have an association with the another participant, and then they will start discussing about their strengths, their weaknesses, their likings, their dislikings, and any other matter. Sometimes some trainers, they ask about the, that is, you ask about the flowers, that is the which flower do you like, that both the partners, they ask each other, and therefore they develop the interaction with each other. And in this case, that revealing the information, I have seen that is even in the first session, the many participants, they become emotional and they develop a sense of the inclusion in the training program, because they got an opportunity to share, might be their certain issues, personal problems, old memories, or sometimes the happiness also, not necessarily that is the sad expenses also. They share their success, their promotions, or their son's grades, and like this type of information they share, they disclose. And I will suggest that is to develop the interpersonal relationship even in the short term of the training program. Please ask them to exercise the micro lab. When you exercise the micro lab, you develop that the building liking with each other is there. However, sometimes you see the world is of the different personalities is there. So therefore, in that case, you will find that is they are not all disclosure leads to the likings are there. So definitely, the trainer has to handle that situation and then continue with the smartly his training program is there, because always there will not be the liking of this type of the disclosure, and some may say that is no sir, I do not want to disclose the information. Fine, that also can be possible is there. Now there will be the another dimension is proximity is there. Relationship with people we interact with frequently. Now you see at the workplace, if you remember on the first day in the class, those who are students, so in the class are those who are employees, there at the workplace, on first day, in the few days of the starting of the career, it becomes very difficult to develop the interpersonal relationships, because we do not know them. But slowly and slowly, when we start working with them, and then our colleagues, they become our friends also at the workplace, because of that proximity, because every day you are meeting them. So naturally, in that case, your interaction with them is frequency is increasing, and when you interact with them more and more, so here I would also like to mention the team building stages. So first will be the forming. The forming will be there. So when the proximity is there, by chance you have been placed into that particular position, so that forming is there in the department, in that section you are there. Then there will be this storming. Storming will be, because there are two different personalities. Even two brothers are there, they are different personalities. And therefore in that case, there will be the sharing of resources. So storming has to be there, because resources are limited, and therefore in that case it becomes the important, that is essence of sharing is to be there. Somebody will be saying that 70-30, somebody will say 60-40, somebody 80-20, somebody may say, your colleague, that is no 100%, no sharing, right? So therefore in that case, but when the proximity interaction continues, sometimes he needs the sharing of resources in which you are strong. Sometimes you need the sharing of resources from the other person, and by interaction and proximity, you understand, no, we have to live together. It is just like in the marriage when we talk about that is the spouse understand, no, this is my life and I have to lead the life like this. So familiarity can also breed the contempt, and most aggravated assaults occur within the family also. So when the storming is there, storming stage of the group, in the storming stage of the group, if storm is not handled properly, then it will not go to the next stage, that is the performing. So forming, storming and performing, and that performing will start only when storming is handled properly, dear friends. This match that will lead to the performance. And these interpersonal relationship orientations, interpersonal relationship dynamics, that will decide whether you are going from the storming to performing or storming to destroying. So your adjourning stage may occur during storming only. So when we are talking about the so many diverse cases in the society, and therefore that particular interpersonal orientation has not matched, and that storming is immediately converted into the adjourning and not to the performing. So whenever there is a forming, there has to be the storming. Storming will lead the norms, developing the norms, and on the basis of the norms, there will be the performing, and there will be the adjourning is there. This is the common process which is to be followed. But not necessarily every group will follow this particular thing. Because when the group is not having, as I already mentioned, development of norms. So if there are limited resources, I will give an example. So if limited resources are there and you are able to handle those resources by sharing of time, okay, morning I will share this resource, evening you share these resources. So norms are developed. So there is no problem. And when we convert this group into teamies, that is the synergy. In synergy, if you are able to develop those norms, then nobody can stop you to perform. And this synergy, this team building, this understanding is the dimension of interpersonal dynamics. In interpersonal dynamics, please try to understand the storming. I have given another example also. That is, the boss is also the express control and subordinate is also the express control. And then in that case, really, the situation becomes tough. So that will be the storming. There will be storming. Now in this storming, norms are to be decided. The practically question will arise, who will decide the norms? Subordinate says, boss should decide his norms and follow my norms. And the subordinate is saying, boss is saying, I am boss, I will decide, I have the authority, I have the position, I will decide the norms and you have to follow. And in this, if you have gone through this my lecture, you know that is if there is a want, then there should be the expression, and if there is an expression, that the want has to be demonstrated. So therefore, in that case, you will match and you will develop the norms. And when you will develop the norms at the workplace, then definitely you will be able to perform, and then definitely, then final stage always have to come. We have to also grow. So we may say one organization to buy and join another organization. So adjourning or any particular task or any particular project that will be getting into the adjourning is there. But the storming is not done. As in this slide it has been mentioned, most aggravated assaults occur within the family. And then in that case, the family breaks. So The proximity is having the positivity also and negativity also. If it is the positivity is there, then definitely in that case, the people will work together. But if the negativity is there, then definitely they will be the destroyed. Now, the next dimension is that is about the rewards. When we talk about the rewards, there is a social exchange theory. Relationship that gives us rewards greater than or equal to the cost of the relationship is there. Now, what is the rewards? Now, you see here, another term I would like to mention, and that is about the emotional baggage. What is the emotional baggage? It is those negative failures, experiences, those we carry on. And if we carry on those negative emotions, then in that case, there will be we are carrying that baggage, emotional baggage is there. And therefore, what is required in social exchange theory is don't carry too much baggage. Everybody's life, there are the success, there are the failures. In everybody's life, there are the supportive people, there are the non-supportive people, there are the good bosses, there are the, whatever we say, bosses are never bad, bosses are always right. But we may say, कहने में क्या जाता है, there may be the bad bosses. And in that case, that is the what rewards we are expecting. In the social exchange theory, it is the exchange of emotions, exchange of relationship. But here, again, there are so many issues. That is the we have to understand. That is the it is not like this. That is the I have given you the 10 kg emotions, so you give me the 10 kg emotions. I have helped you that day, so you have to help me this day. Otherwise, there will be no relationship is there. So in that case, what is important? That is the exchange of emotions are very important. If we express the emotions, then definitely in that case, we will be having those type of the social exchange theory. The friendship is there. Many times you see the advertisement, and we remember in our childhood also, sharing of our tiffin boxes. So sometimes when we like our friend, we were not looking for कि उसकी मम्मी ने क्या बनाया है और वो लाया है या नहीं लाया है. We search him. And then we say there is the you have to share these things there. Nowadays this Mahabharata is also going on, and then we talk about the Sri Krishna, Sudama and all. That is the interpersonal relationship dynamics and all. So therefore, in that case, what becomes important? It is important that is the giving and receiving the emotion, the society norms, the societal expectations. We see in Indian families, the ladies, whether the wife is there, or mother is there, or daughter is there, and daughter-in-law is there, and when we see, many times they keep mum. Even they can say, but they will not react, because they want to carry the relationship. The families are carried forward in Indian society. What I feel is the role of the woman in the families, they play a very, very important role. And therefore, our mothers and the other women, family members, they carry the relationship. And that is the, I think, the best example of the social exchange theory is there. Another important point at the workplace in social exchange theory. Another term is emotional labor. Many of you might be knowing about this particular terminology, but I would also like to share with you that when we are talking about the emotional labor, then in that case, it is the expression of emotions according to the situation. I remember that is the Jaspal Bhatti's show, and then that time he was saying about the supervisor का boss का जो है वो कुत्ता मर जाता है, and then the people they come and they express their emotions to him, and so therefore even you say there is nothing much important for you maybe, but but you express your emotions the way that is, oh, I am also equally concerned and sensitive about this particular issue. And then that type of the behavior, and that is called the emotional labor is there. So who will express the emotional labor? Now, there are a lot of studies and research have been done on the emotional maturity, and the emotional labor is there. So higher and higher is the emotional maturity, and then definitely higher will be the emotional labor demonstration. So therefore, the expression will be, that is the, if this is the situation, these emotions will be expressed. And not only the boss, it is a lighter way. At the workplace, when we are talking about the interpersonal relationship, expressions of the right emotions, right time, at right places is very, very important. And but you will say, no, sir, I do not want to express that emotion. You may say like that. Then in that case, you are not a perfect emotional labor. You are boss of your own, maybe, but you are not a perfect emotional labor. But if you want to develop the interpersonal relationship at workplace, you have to be emotional labor also. So how to develop the relational development and the maintenance at the workplace is there. Like you see, that is the Knapp's model. This is becoming a very, very popular model in interpersonal dynamics and relationship is there. Now, this shows, I have given you one example of the group and team. And for that purpose, you can refer the Stephen P. Robbins' book and Professor Uday Pariksar's book also. And then, so therefore, in that case, now I will take one by one these the stages of this Knapp's model, and then you will find that is the first and foremost is initiating. How to initiate. Second is experimenting. Please understand, appearance can initiate the relationship. But when you interact with the people, you find whatever shines is not gold. Person may have the handsome personality, beautiful personality in appearance. Person in looks may be very impressive. But when you interact, then you realize, ये वो नहीं जो मैं समझ रहा था. And therefore, dear friends, please don't go from the initiating to the bonding. Don't go from the initiating to the bonding. It is not the love at first sight. Later on, it becomes difficult to spend the life. So be careful, especially young people. Don't be so much excited. Oh, wow. Therefore, I appreciate this generation. That is, in most of the times in the Facebook, I find many students in this generation. On the weekends, they are committed. And on the beginning of the week, again, they say not committed. So I appreciate, because they experiment and then they find, नहीं, ये नहीं चलने वाला है, ये commitment गलत हो गया. So therefore, in that case, it becomes very, very important that whenever we talk about that is the experimentation, please spend some time, interact, be careful. That is, don't take the decision. And then if you find experiment, research experiment is there is a high correlation in the research language. There is a high correlation, and then definitely in that case you can develop the next step, and that is the intensifying. How do you intensify with others? Start intensifying with others, and therefore that intensifying, there are certain more slides on this that we will be discussing further also. Then intensifying is there, and on basis of the intensifying, you develop the integrating. Now you are going to be develop the positive relationship is there, and when there is a positive relationship, there is a bonding is there. So therefore, in that case, it becomes very, very important. That is, if you are coming together, you initiate, experiment, and intensify. And if you want to maintain this relationship, then you integrate, and the bonding is there. How it is to be done, that we will see later. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, any group which is formed has to be adjourned. So therefore, forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Similarly, here it is the differentiating. How do you now the people, they start the differentiating is there, and first and foremost is the circumscribing, and normally the circumscribing comes with these situations. Now you will say, so already we have done the experimenting, and how long we have to do the experimenting? We have to convert into the intensifying and integrating. That is true, dear friends, but in the long term, you never know at what age, after how many years of experience, that you will find that is now the or when the period of time situation changes, then there will be the differentiation will start. Now, when we talk about the stagnating, and when there is a stagnating is there, then we will find that is the how that becomes the differentiation, that it continues. Like a period of time has been given to you, that is you decide in this period of time whether you will be going for this particular stagnation to continue the relationship or not. Then as soon as the stagnating starts, people start avoiding each other. एक ही छत के नीचे अलग-अलग bedrooms बन जाएंगे. And therefore, in that case, even you are at the workplace, and then you find that is the people are the person with whom you were having a very strong relationship of the maybe at one workplace, maybe traditionally so many years of 15 years, 20 years, and then you find that is now with your colleagues that you are coming apart, and then you start the avoiding to each other. As soon as we start the avoiding to each other, then the relationship will be terminated. What to understand in this model is very important is that is the I feel is the time period that theoretically cannot be answered at that time period. That practically you have to see, because it will be too early to say that this time you have to spend for experimenting, this time for intensifying, this time for integrating and bonding. Then how to judge? And that will depend on your own guts. But one submission is there, because when we are talking about the coming together, or we are talking about the coming apart, there are two circles you must be seeing, right? Try to enlarge the circle of the relational maintenance. It is a lubrication is required, dear friends, in interpersonal relationship, whether it is at the workplace or it is in the family. And therefore, that bonding, that has to be expressed. Unless and until you do not express that particular bonding, then definitely it will be very, very difficult for the people to continue for a long time together. And maybe they may not be the separation, like the person may be in government jobs, maybe continue up to the retirement with the same colleague, right? But there is no relationship is there. So therefore, in that case, it becomes very, very important, the maintenance of relationship that is to be done, and how it is to be done, that we will see. So escalation, very short, want to make favorable first impressions in the, naturally, as I mentioned in the beginning, everybody wants to show that is, I'm a very good person and मैं तो सबसे ज़्यादा शरीफ मैं ही हूँ. Observe general appearance and then mannerisms are there, use standard greetings are there, then the experimenting is there, already many relationships. So what is the very one interesting is that is what is your zodiac sign is there, पत्रिका में मिला लेते हैं लोग कि भाई ऐसा ना हो कि पत्रिका ही ना मिले तो पता कर लीजिए कि बॉस की जो है वो राशि क्या है और वो सिंह राशि है या मीन राशि है तो उसके हिसाब से the relationship has to be developed. Then definitely in the case it is how it is coming to the stage of the self-disclosure. Disclosure is there, relationship becomes less formal, begin to, and therefore in that case there is less and less formality is there. And each person states the level of commitment they have to the relationships. Expression of feelings become more common, giving tokens of affection, hinting and flirting is there. Then there is a integration is there, and here the concept of we rather than I or you. Automatically मैं नहीं चलेगा, नहीं निकलता है, नया चलेगा नहीं निकलता है. Automatically हम ऐसा करेंगे, मैं ऐसा करूंगा नहीं, हम ऐसा करेंगे. It is not I will do like this, it is we will do like this, right? And therefore as soon as you start word using we, the other person gets the sensitive signal and they understand that is you are taking the people together. Then the bonding formula, legal announcement of the relationship. Maybe the example is the marriage, or the professional example is the business agreement is there, and very few relationship will ever reach this level. However, it has been mentioned that is the very few relationships have been to be mentioned by the author. Now we will talk about that is the how to work on this. So when we are going to the attraction stage, exploration stage, development stage, commitment stage, and the unity stage, and therefore it becomes that is the how this termination it becomes the impression and the starts. So it is a differentiating. Now begin to use me. अभी ये नहीं है कि मैं हम ऐसा करेंगे, हम ऐसा सोचेंगे, हम ऐसा रहेंगे, हम वैसा करेंगे, हम ऐसा करते हैं. No, it is the I will do like this and I have decided, I inform you, and this type of the terminology will start, and then this type of the sentences will start. You have to understand, oh, it is going towards the termination is there. The person becomes the more and more independent, not asking for your support. If you remember the earlier slide, right? So therefore the supportive behavior, and then when you ask the support from others, you ask the support from others when you feel that you will get the support. But in the termination stage, when you find that is the no support is required, I do not want his support, I will do my own, right? So therefore in that case that becomes the more and more independent is there. Then the person, as I mentioned, it is a game. For games, starting searching the partner, going through that integration and all, disclosure and all, and then getting this bonding. And now they say that is no, I am not interested in this game. I will have a solo game. Solo game will be preferred, and therefore in that case it becomes their own hobbies are there. Warning signs that partners need to address the status, and therefore in that case this type of in the childhood what we were doing, whenever there was this type of the conflict starts, and then what we do katti. Katti means that is the stop communication. I will not talk to you. So when you say good morning to the boss does not reply. So why he does not reply? There is a conflict. Now you might have studied the different conflict management strategies. Now you see, if there are certain issues which are not highly concerned by your boss and not highly concerned by yourself also, and then this type of issues, to maintain the relationship maintenance, avoid. Conflict management is a mechanism as a maintenance of interpersonal relationship. How to maintain? So avoid the conflicts. There are positive conflicts, there are negative conflicts. Then if the conflict is with the boss, you cannot avoid, right? Then what to do? Conflict to be accommodated like a spouse. That is the no expression of these conflict, but rather than carry forward with the conflict, and therefore in that case the accommodation is there. But when we talk about the termination, and in the termination we talk about the competitive strategies. So therefore, when we in this termination and differentiating, warning sign that partners need to address the status. That is the I am also somebody, you just cannot ignore me like this. And therefore, if you do like this, I will not support you. That is called the competitive strategy is required. So many times in the conflict management, the people, they come to the competitive strategies also, and therefore they say, मैं इसको भी बताऊंगा कि मैं कितना important हूँ और मेरे बगैर काम नहीं चल सकता, because he is having the high ego, right? Now there is a ego is another topic is there. So therefore in that case you will find you will find that is it becomes the very important, that is the whatever the warning signs they start, and then they starting and filling this type of these status, that is the yes, competitive strategy is there. But what is required? If you ask, that is for the maintenance of relationship, collaboration is required. Collaboration means that is from both the sides, that bonding, that maintenance, that becomes very important. That bonding is becoming very important. And if the bonding is there, then in that case there will be the this line of differentiation, relationship maintenance, that will stretch, means that time period will stretch, because you are into the collaboration stage. So in the collaboration stage, it becomes very important. Both the sides are having the high intention to carry forward the team. To carry that teamwork, carry that project, both are working together, and that is the ideal situation. If you are into that ideal situation, then definitely in that case, that is your bonding is strong. But in the termination stage, it will be the competitive strategy as I mentioned. Theoretically, one more stage has been explained in conflict management, and that is the fifth stage: avoiding, accommodating, competing, collaborating, and the fifth stage, that is the compromising. And the fifth stage says that is the you see that always our spouse keep on saying that is it is the compromising strategy I am adopting, and then we are working together, living together. So therefore, in that case, if the required is collaboration, competition is to be avoided, and then in that case it is the compromise. At least it has to become to the compromise. Those who know the managerial grade of 9 by 9, right? So therefore it has to be the people and production oriented. But if it is not 9-9, it has to be 5-5, and that 5-5 is that is the compromising with the in the conflict management is there, and that is the stage is likely to occur when the relationship experiences its first feelings of stress. Now you see this particular topic of interpersonal dynamics I have already is running on the NPTEL SWAYAM portal, and that is of the 30 hours training program. So therefore in that case, because now we have to talk about the stress also, so that stress management is to be done, but that is not our topic today, so I will not go through it. But those who are interested, they can go through my 30 hours topics on interpersonal dynamics. Circumscribing. Partners behave towards each other in old familiar ways, right? And the communication decreases in quantity and in quality also. In important issues also, it is not communicated. So definitely it's a very bad stage of the termination of relationship is there. Shrinking of interest and commitment is there, and therefore in that case it becomes the shrinking of interest and commitment amongst the people, and then it still appears normal to others. Now you see, We have to carry the job. So even we are having this strong conflict with our boss, we are under stress, we are searching for another job. But if somebody asks you, how are you? कैसे चल रहा है? What we say? बढ़िया चल रहा है, ठीक चल रहा है. हाँ भाई, आप तो बहुत अच्छी कंपनी में हैं, you are doing a good job. हाँ जी, बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत अच्छा, बड़ी reputed कंपनी है, सब कुछ ठीक है, right? But it is not. The same is applicable sometimes, unfortunately, to families also. That is, they from the still appears normal to others. सबको लगता है सब ठीक चल रहा है, परंतु वास्तव में ठीक कुछ भी नहीं चल रहा. But that is a sad part of it. Okay. Attempts can be made to get relationship to a positive place again. Now here is the beauty of this topic, and that is, please make attempts. So here when we talk about, because I love that diagram very much, and there you see that I was talking about, that is the bonding to differentiating. So these are the certain steps towards the bonding to differentiating. Communication हो गया towards the me, not the we, है ना, we से थोड़ा इधर हो गया, concern हो गया, quantity of communication, quality of communication भी कम हो गया, तो alarm बज गया. Alarm बज गया कि भाई now there is a time that is the relationship is going to be terminated. Lubricate. Attempts are to be made, not because that is the what people will say, what society will say, not because of that. You have making investments. I told you that is, it is the emotional baggage, emotional relationship, emotional maturity. We have spent so much of our emotions in that organization, our success, our children's education, our marriage, and then all other issues, social issues, we have celebrated. We were part of that township. We are the part of that family, that organizational family. And now there is a turbulence, but still we have to learn. Because we ourselves are giving the training, we expect from others to learn, so we have to also learn. That is the, we have to go for the attempts are to be made to get the relationship to a positive place again. And if we are able to do that, then definitely in that case attempts will be made. Then the stagnating is there, no growth occurs, the relationship is a hollow shell of its former self. Outsiders tend to notice that something is wrong. Now the things are coming out. You have started applying, people have started inquiring, people come to know कि अच्छा आप छोड़ रहे हो, आपका application वहाँ पे हमने देखा था, आपने वहाँ apply किया था, and that stagnating starts. And then the parties begin to create physical distance between each other, and फिर आप छुट्टियाँ ज़्यादा लेना चालू कर देते हैं. So therefore that physical distance, nowadays we are already under the social distancing, that is a different issue. But we are creating that physical distance at the workplace, and that is stop going at work. Unsuccessful couples deal with their problems by avoidance, indirectness, and less involvement at the workplace also. And finally, it will be coming to the terminating. Last and final stage of the relationship, that can be the positive or a negative thing, right? And therefore, in that case, either the attempts which you have made, जिन संबंधों को बचाने का आपने प्रयास किया था, at this stage, it will give the result कि वो जो attempts हैं, वो दिल से किए गए हैं या नहीं किए, और उसमें आपको सफलता मिलती है या नहीं मिलती है. And therefore in that case it becomes the positive and the negative things are there, and the relationship is completely over, and therefore finally if there is a negative, the relationship stops. Could be a divorce or roommates moving out. तो वो जो आपके साथ जो roommate है हॉस्टल में था या जो ऑफिस में था, और वो जो है he walks out. Depending on each person's feelings, the stage can be quite short or drawn out over time. Here, I also mentioned that the limitation That is I can't tell you about those steps, the time period, because the steps of time period, that will depend on the different persons, different personalities and perceptions and attitude, individuals traits that will be playing the role, how long it takes to terminate the relationship is there. Now, Joshi ji, you might be hearing me. So now I think that is there is only 5 minutes are left. So I would like to take this slide, and after that we can have the question answers, some question answers, because
yes.
how much time is Joshi ji?
In fact, 10 minutes, 11 minutes to be precise.
So, but this slide is very close to my heart, so I will explain.
Please, you go ahead, explain the slide, and then probably we can have question and answers. You might have seen already people have posted some of the questions in the chat box.
Okay.
And otherwise, you can see how we can now invite the participants to start posting their questions on the chat room.
Yes, they can. Those who are hearing me, kindly have this posting of the questions. So some of the questions I may like to address, what I can.
Right.
Okay. So now
yes, carry on.
This particular last slide of the alternate patterns of relationship development. Now you see, it is the x-axis, it is the time, and the y-axis, it is the relationship is there. So therefore, in that case, the pattern 1, love at first sight, I will say. Ekdam se chadav chada, pura dam se. So therefore, in that case, yes, we are made for each other. This is the organization. I want to work in this organization. This is my dream organization. And only here only I will work. And then suddenly the graph goes up. But as I mentioned, what is missing here? Experimenting is missing. No experiments have done. There is nothing, no interaction, no communication, not knowing the employees, this, that, and then not understanding the work culture, and there is a misfit between the organization and employee fit, or the job fit and the employee fit. Then it is not there, and therefore in that case, suddenly there will be the declining of the relationship will be there. Pattern 2 is there. Yeah, it is going with the jerking, and therefore in that case it goes, then the experimentation, then it is going towards the termination, and then again attempts are made, then again it is going up, then again slightly it goes down, then again it goes up. A lot of time have been into this relationship in the pattern 2, and that is with the justification, experimentation, and then bonding is developed. However, there is a decline in the relationship also, and then in that case, finally it is coming down is there. Pattern 3. As I mentioned, in the pattern 1 and pattern 3, you see, suddenly the relationship is developed. I develop a relationship. He is my close friend, and this is a colleague. Oh, what? And then suddenly he realizes, oh, that is experimentation failed. So therefore, in that case, it is going down. In pattern 2, experiment was positive, and then there was attempt. But here it was declining and decline. बहुत कोशिश की सब, पर उनकी समझ में नहीं आया, उनको समझाने की बहुत कोशिश की. I try to make them understand, but they did not, and therefore as a result of which finally there is a termination is there. Pattern 4. So because of sometimes the situation relationship was developed, but then the person was transferred into the another division, so then there is a decline of the relationship. कुछ साल आपसे बात ही नहीं हुई, फिर then again we are into the same department, so going up again the relationship, we are having the common interest, so then it is going there, again transfer, then again going down, and then again there is a relationship, but for the short period of time, and then there is a retirement is there, and there is a bye-bye for this relationship is there, and finally the pattern 5 is there, and and pattern 5 is there, and in the pattern 5 we have to take care, that is the relationship which goes, then it goes down, again develop, then it then declining, then again going up. So many times the relationship goes like this also, and maybe because of these common interest, common assignments, common projects, and then pattern 5 is there. However, out of these 5 pattern, which pattern do you think is the best? However, the answer will be on individual's choice, but and matching the personality. But theoretically, the pattern 2. Pattern 2 is, that is, they take your time. Don't go suddenly into developing the relationship. Initiate, integrate, intensify, bonding, and create the maintenance and carry on the relationship for the long time. At the end, I will say that is making this relationship successful. हम सभी को शिव की शक्ति, मीरा की भक्ति, गणेश की सिद्धि, चाणक्य की बुद्धि, शारदा का ज्ञान, कर्ण का दान, राम की मर्यादा और कुबेर की संपदा प्राप्त हो। यदि ये सब होगा तो हमारी रिलेशनशिप दुनिया से बहुत अच्छी बनी रहेगी। Thank you very much for patiently listening to me.
Thank you, Professor Rangnekar, indeed for a very, very absorbing session. And throughout the session, we have been observing a lot of questions. In fact, many of the chats have been they were so impressed with the PPT that they want PPT.
Yeah, so that already I have shared with Gurvinder Singh ji. So Gurvinder Singh ji will...
And in fact, we will be uploading that also.
So there are few questions. If you click below question answers, 7 questions have been posted.
There are 7 questions.
Ji.
So in fact, if you want me to read, I will read. What does S is equal to A star M star O mean?
FIRO-B?
Rangnekar sir. FIRO-B, I think it's the first one.
I have mentioned, again I will repeat, might be the participant has joined late. Okay, now S is equal to success. Success is equal to ability into motivation into opportunity. And that ability is technical skills, the first slide, my first slide, no? That is technical skills, interpersonal needs, conceptual and analytical ability. And that's why the interpersonal needs, we have talked this topic under this.
The second question is from Mr. P.K. Sharma from Kota. What is the role of HR towards the IIT students hired within overseas organizations in view of corona spread globally?
However, this question is a little bit different as per our session is concerned, but I would like to say that is the most important is that is the role of technology. And already IIT's the HR aspect is this, that is as far as the learning is concerned, and then they are through online. As far as the hiring is concerned, so our hiring is done already in the month of the December and January, and then therefore their placements have done. Organizations have been already requested, that is looking to the corona situation, please they're joining, that please extend, and all of us know that is already the Prime Minister is requesting to all the stakeholders, including the organizations, that and the HR Minister also has mentioned that is whatever the proposals of the hiring has been done to the students, that has to be expanded. And this is the global problem. So all multinational companies also have been asked that is kindly extend their posting and joining as per the situation. So we are getting the very positive response, and the society is supporting a lot.
So Shivani Badhwa is asking, please tell when to use the FIRO-B model.
Yes, FIRO-B model can be used at the time of selection also. Nowadays, many organizations are using the FIRO-B model and identifying that is what is their interpersonal relationship orientation is there. That Joshi ji knows that is Tina Bharti has done PhD under my supervision on this FIRO-B model, and therefore in that case we have find out that is the organization at the time of selection and at the time of promotions are developing the work culture. I will say the beautiful time is develop a work culture with the help of FIRO-B model.
Okay, so Kamal Bajwa, Sudhir Gupta is asking, please share key talent engagement and talent retention strategies.
Okay, so my one PhD scholar, she has worked on employee engagement. Joshi knows Richa Chaudhary, and now she is working as assistant professor in IIT Patna. So she has worked on this talent engagement and talent retention strategies. There are three aspects in the short. That is the Schofield model. Please refer the Schofield model: vigor, absorption, and dedication. So therefore, that developing the culture of the vigor means energy. Yesterday in Mahabharata, the Dronacharya told to Arjuna that there are two friends for the talented person, and that is, one is the practice, make the practice again and again, and there is a hard work, and therefore in that case in the talent engagement it becomes very important. That is, a vigor is there. If vigor is there, employees will be with you. Then there will be the absorption of what? Culture, work culture. Then those practices are to be created, work culture is there. And third is, there is a commitment, there is a dedication. So in the talent engagement, these three important issues, vigor, absorption, and dedication, Schofield model, that can be referred. And in the talent retentions, I have mentioned one more dimension which can be referred through these NPTEL course of the interpersonal dynamics, and that is about the expectations. That is, if you want to increase the retention, it is just like I always give the example of family. If you want to continue to the long term to your family, you have to meet the expectations of your spouse, right? Later on to your friends, you may say, oh, they were very tough expectations. But before the spouse, you have to say, yes, these expectations will meet. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. So I'm not saying about that is a career strategy, but in the talent retention, we have to go for the satisfying their expectations as much as possible.
So Mr. Kamal Bajwa says, thank you for a great session. My question is, would the dynamics not be different depending on the relationship, boss-subordinate, peers, or towards one's reportee? Also, not is a direct reporting relationship.
Yes, definitely the interpersonal relationship. But if you understood the FIRO-B, you will find the orientation. So whether I am working with the boss, with the peers, or with the subordinates, what I will try to, as a smart manager, what I will try to see whether there is a want or there is an expression, and that I will handle that situation. And if there is a want, then definitely I will supplement with the expression. Whether it is the affection is there, inclusion is there, or control is there. Only the strategies will be different, but the orientations will remain common.
So Sudhir Gupta is asking how talent engagement is different from talent retention.
Right. Talent engagement means you have hired the talent, and then you are, whatever the time they are spending, they are giving their 100%. So they are engaged, like for a particular session we had, and during this session we have engaged, and engaged with that vigor, absorption, and commitment is there. And retention means extending the time. And therefore, when we increase the time period of that engagement is not only for short period, but for the long hours also. So then that will be the retention.
So Abhishek Gupta is asking, interpersonal relationship, I feel, would start even before the coming together stage, as in the stage at which one gets to know about the person, organization, and has a view about the same. Similarly, there may be a stage of interpersonal relations even after the falling apart stage for a continuity of a generalized relationship, etc.
Yeah, that is, I remember, that is the, whenever the marriage has to be decided, so we were getting the photos in our time. That is, this is the photo, and you see, if you like the photo, then there will be the appearance and meeting together. So therefore, relationship, definitely the person starts, that is the engagement phase is there, where the illusion, but I will say, I do not know about about the Gupta ji, but normally many times it is the illusion. The illusion will be clear only when you meet and then you understand the reality and then you start yes or no. You might be getting many photos, perceptions. So those are the perceptions. These are the reality stages of reality. But definitely for interpersonal relationship, we give the interview. Interview for the workplace also a pre-stage. So definitely, yeah. Pre-stage will be always there, and after this termination of relationship also, like if the graph which I have shown, there is a pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is a termination. Again, there is a relationship. Again, there is a termination. Sometimes this termination goes when our soul will be depart from our body. So that sensitivity is always there. Some relationship physically may terminate, mentally may not terminate. So then we will say that termination that will not be there. We work in the organization. Organization's name will be always there even after our retirement. So he is like the Joshi ji is the ex-director of the TSDC or ex-director of UJVNL. So name will be always with that association will be always there. So even after retirement, yeah, termination, relationship will be there.
Sir, Aishwarya from Chennai is asking how to handle leaders who micromanage. How to handle leaders? Yeah.
I will like to express here the fiddler's model. In the OB, as I mentioned, Stephen P. Robbins' book and Uday Pariksh's book is wonderful for referring this particular topic. And therefore, in that case, that is those who are making the close supervision are those who are making the micromanage. So they first at what type we will classify them? That is the express control. And if the express control is there, what is the formula? Want control, right? So those who are the micromanaged, then definitely I will suggest that is the want control. Let them micromanage and be the part of it.
Sir, Ashok Kumar Arya is asking, in the material race of present time, people are undermining relationships and terminating it as their wills. Your comments, please.
That is true. With the value systems, this type of the behavioral issues are there in the organization. But we should not generalize these things. And when we believe in the Vasudhaiva Kutumbam, and when our Prime Minister has become the leader in the current situation globally, and therefore in that case, I feel that is we should not undermine the relationship. Those who are making the undermining of relationship at their whims, so let them be, but our effort should not be that others are doing like this, so we should also not give the importance to the interpersonal relationship. That is not my suggestion. My suggestion is वो इसके बिच्छू और साधु की कहानी है. बिच्छू का काम है काटना, वो काटता रहेगा. साधु का काम है उसको बचाना, वो बचाता रहेगा. And in the long term you will find that strategy works. So I feel that it is always better believe in interpersonal relationship, bring the society and create a beautiful society for the next generation also.
So Mr. Ayan Banerjee is asking, why should all relationships end at a zero on the y-axis? Some relationship could well be lifelong, both in personal as well as in professional lives.
Yes, definitely. But this body one day has to terminate. And that was the day of termination. Like we already having though we are having the philosophy of the 7 births relationship. Many ladies are doing the Vat Purnima Puja. That is कि इस जन्म में नहीं 7 जन्म में ही ये relationship चलती रहे. So therefore, in that case, but definitely one day, physically there will be termination. Physically, that has to be termination at whatever age it might be. Right, so therefore termination is physically is there, and we cannot ignore that. So how long?
Rashmi is asking, interpersonal skills are the behaviors and tactics a person uses to interact with others effectively. In the business world, the term refers to an employee's ability to work well with others. Still, there is a stagnation in growth. What could be the reason?
Yes, no, you see, there are so many answers, because if we take the question like this, that what could be the reason in the stagnation in growth is there. So the senior people, they understand that even they are having the good relationship with their subordinates, with their people, but everybody cannot be promoted, everybody cannot be given the opportunity. So sometimes there is no scope, there is no opportunity, even the boss is willing. So it is not like that is only on performance basis. So therefore it is the, even the employee is able, he work well, but still if there is no scope, the person is not able to give the opportunity for the growth. And that's why the people leave one organization, they join another organization. Wherever the growth will be there, every organization is having the limited scope of the growth.
Dr. Manish Bhatt is asking, sometimes you are in good interpersonal relations with someone, but that person doesn't know that in a social gathering. Maybe the behavior of that person is not very appropriate. So some highlight on this.
Actually, that question I am not able to see on my this screen.
This is Manish Bhatt. Sir, my question is, then there is a gap. Dhiru Brahm Bhatt and then Manish Bhatt again. So you are in good interpersonal relations with someone, but that person don't show that in social gathering. This step can be considered as, there's a question mark.
Now you see the future of this relationship, I don't see long.
I will give the answer.
Right, sir.
This happens because we may have a very good relationship, interpersonal relationship, but the other person may not have the same kind of understanding. You may feel that you are giving a lot of regard to that person. You feel that you have got a very good relationship, but sometimes in public domain, you will find that you are not getting the same response which you are expecting from that person. So it means that there is a gap in the expectation and in the relationship that you have. So you have to introspect. One has to introspect the relationship and the foundation of the relationship. This happens sometimes in a husband-wife relationship, for example.
But he is saying that is the people are not showing in the society that relationship exists. So
Yeah.
therefore there is something wrong. So therefore in that case one has to be careful.
Yes. And what is the importance of IPR as a trainer? This Dhiru Brahmbhat is asking.
Definitely, the importance of IPI as a trainer is high. Well, means as far as if I understand the questions, it is the intellectual property right is concerned. As a trainer, one has to follow and make sure that is the they get the patents and copyrights.
JFP Jerry Joshe is asking, is interpersonal relation can be measured only based on a single incident? So can you hear?
Social gathering.
JFP Jerry.
Only based on a single incident. No, not at all. Not at
based
all.
on a single incident.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Vidya Rao, I think probably this is the last question. Amazing session, sir. I have a question. How to establish better bonds in globally dispersed teams?
Right. Now we see we are having the Gary Dessler's book that is on the international HRM. IHRM is there, and there it has been mentioned that is the whenever we want to develop the global dispersed teams, the culture, language, food habits, these are the very important information to be given to a person who is the member of the team. So suppose one is from the Europe, one is from Asia, one is from USA, and then in that case, what culture is there? That should be known to others also, and they should have the respect. So awareness and the implementation of the culture, that becomes very important. Even for example dress code, that is also becoming very important. Food habit is becoming very important, and then global team can be developed.
So the last question, Mr. Kaushambi Mitra Chakrabarti, can we become adept in interpersonal relationship if we are not able to understand our own self.
Yeah, so therefore my submission is this: there are number of scales are there, right? And if you use those scales, you will be able to understand yourself. Maybe the MBTI scale is there, FIRO-B scale is there, and therefore don't go by these perceptions and become adept in interpersonal relationship. Rather, self-awareness is very, very important. And nowadays it is not that difficult. Online the skills are available. The ISTD also conducts number of training programs, and therefore they can attend those training programs and get the self-disclosure.
So thank you, sir. Thanks indeed for a very, very absorbing, interactive session. And I hope the participants enjoyed every bit of it. And I wish to thank all of you for joining from various parts of the country. Amit Goswami from Dehradun, Anita Chauhan from Kota, K. Sundarraj, Raj Singh Until from Gurgaon, Rajesh Makuri, Rajendra Singh from Dehradun, Y.N. Kaushalji, Pranav Kumar Sinha. In fact, Pranav Kumar Sinha is from NTPC. He's graduated last year, and in this mid session, he joined and he asked me that can he join. So in fact, we received overwhelming response from all of you. Indeed, we are grateful to all of you, and we shall be connecting to you. We have planned 2 webinars per week, and on Saturday also there is another webinar that we will be bringing for you. Do join us. Thanks everyone for joining.
And